Alright, hi guys. Sorry it's been so long since I made a video, but since I just installed Yosemite, thought I'd give you a look around, see what it's like. So as you can see, it's pretty different looking, especially with this menu bar right here. Now it doesn't automatically come like that. That's something I picked up in the system preferences. I like it because it kind of looks like my old Linux system, but that's this check mark right here. Use dark menu bar and dock, but that's just something really quick. But as you can notice, everything is a lot flatter, and that is on purpose. To some people it looks a little too simple, maybe a little cartoony, but to me it just looks streamlined. It looks, in my opinion, more futuristic. Like in the past it was like trying to look futuristic. This is actually where the future's at, because simplicity is what we really want to go for. The other cool thing, I don't know if you can quite tell, maybe if I pull up Chrome here for a second later, but if I pull up Chrome and then I hit one of our menus up here, you can see this is actually kind of translucent, and it looks really, really cool. You can turn that off if your computer can't handle it, but I don't really know of a computer that can't. Another really cool feature, I have this open from quite a while ago when some friends and I were trying to make some scenes for a movie back in film school. A whole bunch of green screen shots. So, as you know, you can add a tag to it. Let's go ahead and add the green screen tag, and we're good. I would normally go through this whole thing and add green screen tags, but for this example we just need the one. So you can see now we have the green screen shot in my green screen tag. That's all normal, but here's the cool part. Let's say I'm going to need this for a while. I can put the tag with all of its contents right next to my downloads and documents. So that is just really useful. I mean, it's the simple things that make the difference, but what I really like about this is it seems to work a lot smoother than Mavericks did. One thing Mavericks did was it took your RAM and it tried to use as little swap as possible. So if we look at our usage details, our inactive is at 1.7, our active is at 2.6, and our wired is at a gig. But what is inactive, active, and wired? Active is obviously what you are actively using as a user. The only reason it's this high for me right now is because I'm running Smoke. You'll see in a second. Wired is actually what your computer needs to run itself. It's usually going to be around a gig. So if you have 4 gigs, you really only have 3 gigs. So that's why, because I have a total of 8 gigs, which hopefully pretty soon here I will upgrade that, but with 8 gigs, I now have 7 gigs free because I have 1 gig wired. I have 2 active, and inactive is actually not what it's called anymore. That's just what free memory calls it. But inactive is compressed memory. So, if you compress a file, it makes it smaller. You can't use it while it's compressed, but you can move it around and stuff, and it's a lot quicker, it's a lot easier. And again, it's smaller, so it's easier to handle. So when you're not actively using something, sometimes it would go to your virtual memory, which is not in your 8 gigs of memory. That's actually on your hard drive. So if you don't have a solid state drive for your well, you can't have a solid state for your hard drive, but if you have a hard drive instead of a solid state, then your virtual memory is actually going to be really slow, and that's going to really bog down your system. So what Mavericks did was it tried to put as much as it could in the compressed or inactive memory, and that worked for everything that Apple produced itself, but it didn't play nice with any other programs. So what I'm really glad with Yosemite is there's a lot less inactive RAM being used. There's still little to no swap being used, there's little to no virtual RAM being used, but the actual amount that is being compressed and the amount of RAM taken up by Mavericks just trying to be faster is down by quite a bit. So because of that and a few other reasons, mainly being that it just seems to use its resources much better, Autodesk Smoke is running a lot more smoothly than it usually does. So usually it'll take a couple minutes for this to start up, but as you can see, it's chugging along pretty quickly. And I'll give it about 30 more seconds, should pop up. And there we go. So we have, I'm running Smoke. It's taking up, usually in Mavericks, when I was running Smoke, I would have like at most a gig of RAM left, and as you can see here, I have about 2.5 gigs. And that's even when I go through all of my footage. I start messing with my selectives, I start turning things on and off. You know, I'm still at 2.36 even in my full color grading color space. Let's just start warping stuff here. I'm going to have to undo this, but notice what I'm using isn't changing. No matter how much I do, it's still around there. Now if I started using other effects, it would probably take up more RAM, but as it stands, it's pretty smooth, and I can just chug along like this for hours. So just gonna quit out of that. But yeah, as you can see, Mavericks is a lot cooler, it's a lot more streamlined, it's much faster, which I think is the most important part. There are a lot of new features, some like the little trick with the tags that I showed you. There's handoff, so I can take a document, work on it in my Mac, and then hand it off to my iPad and keep working on it in my iPad. One thing I want to mention about that is exactly what I thought the connection between a Mac and an iPad was from the start. That's actually part of why I was always so adamant about, I need to get an iPad, or when I upgrade my phone to like an actual smartphone, need to get an iPhone, because I thought what is now called handoff was just a standard feature. I thought that's just how it worked because it's how it should work. But I was sadly disappointed when I got my iPad. I still love it. I still prefer it over an Android, but it's not as integrated as I thought it would be. Now it is, though. Now all the things that you thought would be obvious, like AirDrop and handoff, are implemented in both the new iOS and OS Yosemite. So all in all, I'd say this is great, but 9 out of 10 of these new features should have been introduced in Lion. But if that's my only complaint, I really can't say too much more, because again, even with all these, in my opinion, belated updates, it's still a lot faster, and that's what matters. Alright, hopefully you'll see more videos from me soon. Catch you later.